Progressives in the media were outraged that the stage at CPAC looked like something called the Odal rune, a symbol used by the Nazis in Germany. The stage, to be completely honest, actually does look like the rune. But the conspiracy was that the conservatives at this conference did it on purpose. It was a dog whistle. They wanted you to know that they were evil, evil people. And they wanted it front and center with every conservative standing on the stage so you knew. Well, the Twitterati and the liberals in the media were screeching at the top of their lungs, saying there's no way it was an accident. We now know. The company that designed the stage is owned by a Democrat, liberal woman, and they're coming after her. This company based in Maryland is now taking responsibility for designing the stage, saying they did not realize what it looked like. Now, immediately, well, I should say first, when people started screaming, "Runegate, Runegate, the conservatives are standing on this symbol," sane people said, "Oh, shut up. Who cares? It's not, there's no grand conspiracy. They're not dog whistling at anybody. It's just a stage. Calm down." Stage two is the realization that it was actually a Democrat who did this. They apologized for this and they had no idea. But you actually have Hyatt, the hotel agency, saying, "I can't believe the Republicans would do this. We are outraged by this hate symbol." And then the conservatives firing back, saying, like, "You can't cancel us." Think about how dumb this world is. But I propose to you, friends, while it may be that the liberal outrage in the media backfired horribly against a Democrat-owned company, perhaps a grand conspiracy, why would CPAC hire a Democrat-run firm to design CPAC? This woman apparently was seriously happy when Joe Biden won. And you know what the left says, not the entirety of the left, but for the most part, about conservatives. Oh, they're all Nazis. So is it a coincidence that a Democrat-run firm designed the CPAC stage to look like a rune? Maybe. Probably. I doubt this woman would want to destroy her own business to own the cons. Well, check out this tweet from Mike Cernovich. He says, "Democrats destroyed a female Democrat-owned business, smearing them as Nazis to land blows against conservatives. Stop being naive, y'all. They will put your families in gulags if they take real power." Yashir Ali he tweeted, and Mike Cernovich is quoting this tweet, said, "1. I know Design Foundry because they handle design for many events in DC for companies like MSNBC and Target. They oversaw the design of the Biden Cancer Summit in 2018. The owner, Annie, is very liberal and was so excited for Biden's victory. Great work, conspiracy theorists." And here it is. You can see the image, right? Here's forward.com. Design firm takes responsibility for CPAC stage controversy. You can see the stage, and I guess it's weird. There's like these cutouts that make the stage shaped oddly. And then there's this design. And I got to be honest. Look, let's be real. You can see the rune. You can see it. Like there's a triangle here to like, it makes it a rune. Now, was it done intentionally? Probably not. Y'all remember Tariq Nasheed? He's this dude on Twitter. He referred to himself at one point, I believe he did, as a black identity extremist. He's very much into that, narrative stuff, anti-whiteness, whatever you want to call it. He calls everybody suspected white supremacists, or he did at one point. He once designed a logo, and it was for his organization in the negative space. Are you familiar with negative space? It basically means like you can draw a picture, and the negative space is where you didn't draw, but you can still see things in negative space. So like if you were to take a red square and then punch a hole in the shape of the letter, T, that would be a negative space, right? In his logo, the negative space formed Nazi symbol. You know what I mean? And everybody called him out for it. And he was like, "I didn't even realize that." He just made like a symbol that was supposed to be like a flower or something. I'm not trying to drag the guy. He's allowed to have his opinions, whether we agree or not. But I don't think he was intentionally trying to do that. And so things like this happen. Now, I will say it is funny that it's supposedly a dog whistle to conservatives, like they can see the stage. And it was heard overwhelmingly and only by liberals. The conservatives putting on the conference didn't even realize it was happening. Talk about stupid. I'm sorry. CPAC hired a Democrat to design their stage, and then this happens. Look, I have no reason to believe it's anything other than a coincidence, not a conspiracy. But, I doubt this lady wanted to destroy her business, right? But it does make you think, like, why would you do this? Why wouldn't you take this very, very seriously? Now, we have this story. Let me read a little bit from Forward about what's happening with CPAC and this controversy. Again, the gist of this is Democrats and liberals on Twitter and the media were trying to attack conservatives over this. And it turns out it's backfiring on literally the woman who did the design for Joe Biden's cancer event. And she's a liberal Democrat. Forward says the company that was hired to set up the stage at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando last weekend has taken full responsibility for the design of the stage that resembled a Nazi insignia. In an exclusive statement to the Forward on Tuesday evening, Design Foundry, a stage design firm based in Hyattsville, Maryland, said it had no idea that the design resembled any symbol, nor was there any intention to create something that did. The organizers of CPAC have announced that it will not use the firm for future events. Image of the CPAC main stage, which featured Donald Trump's first post-presidency speech on Sunday, went viral online. As observers noted, its resemblance to the Odal or Athal rune, a symbol emblazoned on Nazi uniforms. After the conclusion of the event, Hyatt Hotels released a statement saying that it had addressed the concerns of the conference organizers and denounced the use of symbols of such symbols as abhorrent. You know what, my friends? The left can come at me all day and night. I used to get flack a lot from more like alt-right individuals for obvious reasons, but the left are the ones who have the sustained pressure. They'll never get me to quit. I like talking about what I like talking about. They're important issues, but I'll tell you what might actually get me to finally snap and be like, yo, I'm out. I'm going fishing in a van down by the river. Stories like this. This is what we've become. This is it. Am I supposed... This is what I have to talk to you about. There are a bunch of other stories. Don't worry. I'll get to them as well. But Hyatt, a massive multinational corporation, I'm assuming Hyatt's all over the world. It's huge. Denounced the stage at the CPAC because liberals complained, but it turns out a liberal made the thing. What happened to this country? I can go back to the 90s and watch George Carlin spout out every racial slur in the book to make a point about why racism is bad and differentiating between a true racist and someone just trying to make a point. Why is it, the other day we had Ryan Long on the IRL podcast. Boy, you would love to be a fly on the wall in this room as we talk about like offensive jokes and what works and what doesn't. And one of the things we were talking about is like, it's really crazy that in the Family Guy era, in the Simpsons era, in the South Park era, you intentionally were over the top and just extreme in these jokes. And it was acceptable because we knew it wasn't legit. Now, you can't even explain the joke without someone coming after you. Now, this is political discourse in this country. There's a hunger and a thirst for a constant rage. The Democrats need Republicans to be villains so they can drum up media outrage. I think the problem is the media. That's it. You take away the media, watch how quickly things calm down. People will start focusing on things like, I don't know, getting chickens. I bought a bunch of chicken coops. They're like little houses and they have a front. It's like a house, right? And there's a front yard for the little house and it's like a little cage so that predators can't get the chicken. That's what I'm going to do. That's what's going to be fun for me. I'm going to have little chicken and they're going to have food. And I'm not going to think about how stupid everyone is. But, then I do this job and I talk about this. So I'll just point out, I certainly think it's dumb to talk about all of this. It's like grade school level drama garbage seeping into politics. I can at least say that sentence, right? Can we all just be like, can this channel just be the people who are sitting back saying these people have lost their minds? I don't blame conservatives for this. They didn't do anything. They just went and had their rally it's isn't it always the left? Not every single time, obviously. I mean, there's dumb things like when Trump said you should go to jail for burning the American flag and Candace Owens agreed. I'm like, nah, that's dumb. Free speech. If you want to burn the flag, just as long as it's your flag and the fire isn't a danger to somebody, well, do your thing. You know what I mean? People burned a bunch of Nike gear. That's private property. So it's not always the right, but it is typically the left, right? They say images of the CPAC main stage, is announced as abhorrent. Design Foundry said that the American Conservative Union approved the stage design, which was intended to provide the best use of space given the constraints of the ballroom and social distancing requirements. According to the terms of the contract signed with the Design Foundry and shared with the forward, the ACU approved the design but had no rights to change the design or dismantle the stage. The designs, renderings, drawings, specifications, materials, and other documents used or created as part of the proposed are owned by Design Foundry, the contract reads. Design Foundry has worked with CPAC for several years and has provided services to MSNBC and major corporations, including Google, Citibank, and Target. Ian Walters, director of communications for the ACU and CPAC, told the Forward on Tuesday that the design firm provided several options for us to choose from, and what we ended up with was the most workable on the options they submitted. ACU and CPAC have no interest in promoting anti-Semitism from our stage, whether it's what happens on the stage or the design of the stage itself. It's clear that the company we retained designed a stage that has become an unwelcome distraction. As a result, we will not be using that company's services going forward at future events. Design Foundry said it was saddened and horrified at the accusation that this was a deliberate act. Design Foundry denounces all hate speech and acts of racism, prejudice, or bigotry in all forms. I don't know. Cue the cliche, liberals are the real racists, I guess. No, I think it was an accident. I think this is just how stupid everyone's become. It's crazy, huh? We have this tweet here from Mike Rothschild. Mike on Twitter says he is a conspiracy debunker and skeptic. He writes about QAnon and things like that. He says, remember all those people who knew the CPAC, knew the stage at CPAC was definitely patterned after a Nazi rune? They were definitely wrong. Some other infestations of Nazi horror designed by those fascists at Design Foundry, the Mandela 100 Years Gala, and the Biden Cancer Summit. Look what else they designed. Absolutely insane. Now, I will say it's kind of odd that the one thing they designed, like the one event they designed for that looks really weird, was the CPAC. It was CPAC. I wonder, look, the reason why I don't think it was a conspiracy, like this lady at Design Foundry was like, I'll trick the Republicans into putting a Nazi symbol, haha, is because the contract clearly states they designed it. There was no circumstance in which the media would get wind of this that it wouldn't end up blowing up in the face of the Democrat woman running this company. Mike Rothschild says, nobody's going to admit they were wrong because, hey, it's Twitter. But it's clear that Design Foundry designed the stage, the ACU approved it, and it wasn't meant to look like a rune. Now, can we please go back to hating CPAC for its ideas, not its stage design? Here, good sir, I completely agree. If you've got a problem with Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, talk about Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. Don't distract everyone from the dumb stage design. Why am I even talking about this? I should make videos about, I don't know, skateboarding or something. Hey guys, here's a productive thing. Here's how to do a kickflip backside tail slide, big spin out. That's skateboarding. Most people are probably like, I have no idea what you said. Some skateboarders are probably like, that's a cool trick. Mike Rothschild says, folks, I'm a liberal Jew with the last name Rothschild who writes about conspiracies and extremism. If the CPAC stage were actually a rune, I'd be screaming about it. Instead, I'm debunking it because it's not. Congratulations. The Democrat media liberal types have just damaged, I don't know if they destroyed the company, but seriously damaged it. Because I have to imagine now, there's going to be a stigma. I mean, would you want to work with a company that did this? Think about it. I mean, CPAC is saying they're not going to work with them, so their bottom line's taking a hit. MSNBC might be like, you guys did that stage thing? That's controversy we do not want to be involved in. Some journalists are going to write about it, and we're going to look bad. Sorry, bye-bye. It very well may be, well, extremely damaging for the company, to say the least. I wonder, however, if, ultimately people will just get over it. But I will say, there was a post I saw on Facebook. I see this all the time. These liberals are like, Republicans keep screaming cancel culture, but cancel culture isn't real. There was a lady who opened a Chinese food restaurant. Uh-oh, she was white. It got shut down. I guess people didn't want to go there. I don't know what happened. There were apparently ladies in the Pacific Northwest who opened like a taco cart. And then they were accused of culturally appropriating tacos from Mexico or something. And it's like, that's cancel culture, man. Just because you expect celebrities to be the ones who are victimized by this doesn't mean that it's fake. And just because a Republican says it doesn't mean it's immediately false. Now, here's the most remarkable thing about how dumb this whole situation is. The Hyatt actually released this statement on CPAC 2021. When we learned that the CPAC 21 stage design had been compared to a symbol of hate, we promptly raised this concern with meeting organizers who strongly denied any connection to such symbols. Had we initially recognized the potential connections to hate symbols, we would have proactively addressed it prior to commencement of the event. Unfortunately, this became clear to us only after the event kicked off. With CPAC's denial of any intentional connection to hate symbols and our concerns over the safety of our guests and colleagues in what could have been a disruptive situation, we allowed the event to continue. We understand and respect the opinions of those who might disagree with that decision. Our own values support a culture that is characterized by empathy, respect, and diversity of opinions and backgrounds. I can respect that statement. And we strive to bring this to light through what we do and how we engage with those in our care. We do not always agree with or share the same values as groups hosting meetings and events at our hotels. And while we may not always get it right, we strive to strike the right balance among our customers' rights to express themselves in their meetings and events, inclusivity, and our role in providing meeting facilities. CPAC responded. Apparently, I guess they're getting canceled. In this tweet from CPAC 2021, they say, "This letter to Hyatt Hotels is our declaration that we will not let them cancel us with these lies." With these lies. Okay. Well, they wrote this whole letter and they say, "When we learned of the orchestrated assault on us, we immediately contacted your senior management to set the record straight. Together, we quickly responded to these slanderous accusations. Your hotel's senior management was on notice and acknowledged that these claims were false and agreed to share any statement before its release. We agreed that coordination was critical so that the general public would know the truth and that you would treat your customer with honesty. Thus, we were shocked that the Hyatt waited until after the conference concluded to issue additional statements, ones that are irresponsible, untrue, and contribute to a climate of division and hatred." My stars and garters, my friends. This is where we're at. Has it always been this way? You know, to those of you that are older than I, has it always been like this, where like nonsensical, petty high school drama dominates political discourse? Are we children? Maybe, just maybe. I romanticize the past because I was unfamiliar with the stupidity of the political space. And maybe that's true. I mean, Bill Clinton got, Randy with an intern, and that was like the apocalypse, I guess. I suppose he lied, and there was some other stuff involved that led to that, ultimate statement and the definition of is or whatever. I was too young, and maybe it just seemed, I don't know, like it was bigger and better. Let me tell you something. You learn this when you get older. The people who are in charge don't know anything. I mean, they do. I mean, there's talent and there's skills and there's experience. Don't get me wrong. But it's really remarkable when you get to a point where when you're younger, you think about the world in terms of experts and the best of the best, the pros who really are smart, who really are the best. And then something changes when you become an adult. And you realize it's just a bunch of regular people who are as dumb as anybody else. Here's what you need to realize. And this one goes especially for all the conspiracy theorists. Let me tell you the truth. When you are sitting in one of those really boring meetings at work and everyone's sitting around and you're like, man, nobody has any idea what they're talking about. It's a waste of our time. Meetings are awful. And how often are they just doing these really dumb things? Like, you ever do a meeting where like the boss says, before we get started with the meeting, I'd like to do a round of compliments to like get everybody in the mood. Like, can you provide a compliment, Jim? And they do these dumb exercises in these corporate scenarios. That's literally how the world is run. That's not unique to you and your experience. The stupidity you experience. Imagine like you got a customer coming in and being like, I want to speak to the manager. And then you're like, what's the problem? I want the manager now. And you're like, okay. And the manager comes out. What's wrong? You sold me this, piece for my car, but it was the wrong piece. Ma'am, that's the piece you brought us. See the thing you wrote down? It was your fault. And she's screaming and she won't take no for an answer. And then the guy calls her a Karen and then, that happens in politics. It's so dumb. Here we go. Nobody wants to take responsibility for something dumb. And I do think CPAC or the ACU definitely should have been looking at these things. But if you don't know, how do you know to look for it? That's a problem, right? These people don't know what they don't know. They saw the stage and they said, looks cool, I guess. It fits in the ballroom. There's one thing I will point out. These things right here, okay, for those that are listening, it's a diamond shape with like wings coming out, I guess. And the wings don't provide any stage purpose, which is why I thought it was strange that they did this. But I think ultimately, sometimes these things happen. And if you're, the craziest thing to me is the left is always screaming about dog whistles. And I'm like, yo, if the conservatives can't hear them, I wonder who the dog whistle is actually for. It's for the Democrats. It's for the leftists. The people who sit there and do nothing but screech and rant about dumb stuff like this. Which brings us to the high school-esque drama that is the political space. And it is. I mean, look, I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. You got AOC, you've got, Ted Cruz, you've got people, and they clap back. Obviously, Cruz isn't nearly as bad as AOC, but AOC really is a good example of high school drama. Just clap, clap, clap. We need a minimum wage. And you're like, okay, dude, these are complex problems that require complex solutions. You can't just demand we print money and make all businesses pay. It's like we should raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And it's like, yes, but is it only going to be for companies that have at least 200 employees because you can't do the small business? We got to get more in depth on this. It's not so simple to just snap your fingers. Where does the money come from? What's the result? What can we expect? Will this actually improve the lives of people? Or is it going to result in minimum wage jobs becoming more expensive, increasing labor costs, causing prices to go up? And then everyone's like, look at Denmark. And it's like, dude, Denmark is a tiny country. You can't compare it. It would be like trying to compare all of the EU and its economic crisis to one. No, you can't do it. Anyway, I digress. Isn't it stupid? Well, I don't know, my friends. For some reason, we all keep coming back to this stuff. I guess if you don't talk about it, then it really does fall apart. It is, as it was described, we're all on a treadmill. If you stop moving, you move backwards. If you're walking, you're staying where you are. You have to run to get ahead. But in this context, I would view it as we're all on a treadmill, and if you stop walking, things just get worse. So we do have to maintain this stuff, have these conversations, and call it out, lest it gets stupider than it already is. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you all then.